Hello, it's Mindy from My Creative Scoop, and I'm back with another Copic tutorial for my favorite things. This month I'm going to be using this new stamp set called Tutu Trio, and we're going to be coloring this little bunny. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is coloring the bunny. So we're going to be making her a white. So we're going to go ahead and get out W3, W1, W00, and E0000. We're also going to be using R30 and R32 for the cheeks. So set those aside. And the card that I'm putting this little bunny on, we're going to be die cutting it out. But we're going to be using the stencil with the light coming down with the spotlight. So we're going to focus on light source coming from underneath. So that way when we place her on the light, it will look like the light's coming down, so everything on the top of the light will be lighter and everything coming up from the bottom is going to be shadowed. So we're going to get out the W3, and just underneath the face it's going to be thin about halfway, and it's going to get a little thicker as we move down. And then with the next color, W1, we're gonna just come in a little bit more. So I'm gonna come up a little bit higher. And then just one little swipe over to right along the side of that W3. And then we're gonna take our W00, and this time I'm gonna flick going up, that way I get a nice blended shadow that blends right into that white. And I'm gonna go back with my W3 just to deepen that edge a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take the R32. I'm going to make a little rosy cheek here, a little one over here, and then I'm going to take my R30 and we're going to blend it out. So I'm going to go directly over that R32 and make the circle a little bit bigger. Now to soften that up, we're going to take the E40, so E0000, and go all the way around. All the way around this one. And then we're also going to repeat with what we did with the W00 and just flick going up. All right, and I'm going to go back with my W00. Okay, now we're going to take the R32, just going to color in her little nose. So now we're going back with W3. The shadow for the ears is going to be at the base of the ear, closest to the bunny's head. And since the arms and legs are so small, we're just going to go ahead and do those now. So I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow directly underneath the bunny's face and underneath the bunny's skirt. So now we're going to take the W1 and I'm just going to push this up a little bit. Remember, we're coloring the bunny white, so we don't want to fully shadow the bunny in gray. We do want it to have just gray shadows, but we still want to leave white area. So now I'm going to take my W00. Just blend this out a little bit better. And then I'm going to come down just a little bit, leaving the hands still white. And I'm going to take my E000, four zeros, and I just want to kind of go over. And then again with my W00, I'll do a heavy flick to blend that out. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and color the the gray parts of the shirt. We're gonna have a pink and gray or pink and white striped shirt, so we have to shadow those in gray. So I'm gonna take my W3 and just a little bit on each side, make little lines or little dots. And now I'm gonna skip, since there's not a whole lot of room for colors to, you know, blend down all of those colors that we use. We're just going to go straight to the W00. So I'm just gonna kind of flick going in. That way I could still leave that very, very center part white. And then I'm gonna go with my RV17 and RV19 and RV14. And I'm gonna take my RV19 and we're going to do the pink stripes here on her shirt. So again, just a little bit on each side. And we're going to go straight to the RV14 and just finish coloring in. Now with coloring pinks, in order to get a really dark shadow, you have to use a brown to deepen that pink. If you use more of a red, then you're gonna go more on the red side, and if you use one of the grays, it ends up turning kind of purpley and it changes the color. So we have to use a brown base to add to those shadows. So we're gonna get out the E23, and I'm just gonna do a little line on each side over here. And now I'm gonna take my middle color, so the RV17, and I'm just gonna kind of go in a little bit, replacing the E23 because I don't want it to be brown. I want it to be another darker version of the pink. So I just wanted to cover that up, and then we'll take our RV14 again, just to blend that out. So we're gonna do the same thing for the skirt, but I'm seeing how this is drying and I'm not really liking it. So I'm gonna take my E40s again, and I'm just gonna kind of round out the bunny's face. Still leaving all of this part white, but just blending this out a little bit more so that way it looks a little bit more round. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and work on her skirt, and we're going to give her pleats. So we're really gonna define with the pinks, with the browns, and get some pleats going on. So we're gonna take the RV19, and every time you see this squiggly line going up a little bit, that's gonna be the darkest point of the pleat. So I'm just gonna kind of come a little bit on this side and a little bit on this side, and then see the line that's coming right here? You don't just wanna go straight up because that's not matching the outline of the image. So you wanna follow this line over here so it matches. So that way the skirt looks like it has a better flow. And then this is gonna be straight because it's in the center. So a little bit along the edge and then go straight up. Same thing over here. I'm coming on each side and then I'm gonna follow this line. So I'm gonna trace it exact. And we're also going to be adding a little bit of pleats and up here towards the top part of the skirt. So I'm just going to darken the entire top, just a little bit of color. And in between each of these pleats, I'm just gonna come down a little bit. Okay, so that is where the darkest points are gonna be when we're doing our coloring. So now I'm gonna take my RV17 and I'm gonna blend this out a little bit, coming in just a little bit more. Coming down this side a little bit more. And down over here. And now I'm gonna take my RV14 and I wanna blend this out before I just finish coloring in all that white area. So I'm just gonna come out a little bit more, just so until I know I have a good blend. Because all this white area here, we want that to stay the lightest color. And if we were to go over it completely, and because we're still gonna go back and add another, we're gonna do that whole color combo again, it's gonna make, if we were to color up all the white area now, by the time we get back and finish with our second round, that white area is going to be that much darker. So since we want it to stay lightest, we're going to go ahead and skip coloring it all in right now and leave it white, and we'll finish coloring it in on the second round. So now we're going to do the same thing we did with the shirt by coloring the by taking the E23 and making those shadows a little bit darker. So I'm not going to go as thick as I did with the RV19. I'm just going to come up the center, just deepening it just a little bit. And the same thing goes up here and along the waist. So now I'm going to take my RV19, I'm going to replace that E23 color by going directly over it, deepening the pink color. And now I'm going to take my RV17 again, cap on our eye, and come in just a little bit more. So now I have barely any white showing. So now I'm going to take my RV14 and I'm just going to go directly over it by laying down the marker, and I don't really want to blend out all of the pleats, the lines that we just created. So you just kind of want to do one swipe over. And it really looks like a nice fluffy tutu that she's got. So let's go ahead and finish the wings. So I'm going to use G24 and G21 and BG11. So we're going to start with the G24. Now remember I said that the light's going to be shining down from the top, so we want a shadow underneath the wings. So you're going to go ahead and make a line all the way along the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and take the G21. And now I'm going to take my BG11 because I want this to be a green but have more of a teal feel to it. So I'm going to go directly over those two green colors that we just did, and I want to push that green out into the white area so that way it blends out with the blue. So it kind of gives it a different look. It's a little two-tone. So we're going to do the same thing over here. So push that color out until you feel like you have a good blend, and then fill the rest of it in. Now we're going to go back with our G21, and I just want to soften it up a little bit, so we're going to do kind of a heavy flick. And then one more time with that BG11. All right, now let's color her little flower she's got in her hair. So let's take the RV19, and in the center of the flower, right at the base of the petal, we're gonna just make a little line, and we're gonna come out a little bit more with the RV17. And now we're gonna go ahead and get out that E23. We're gonna deepen that color down here, just right around the center of the flower. And then we'll take the RV14 and we're just gonna start down here and just push out. And then I'm gonna take my Y35, fill in that center. And now let's go ahead and add a little bit of white highlights to the bunny. So I want to go ahead and make these kind of look like they have a shine to them. So I'm just going to trace all along the bottom. And then I'm going to add a couple little dots. And then I'm going to take the white gel pen and add just tiny little dots right all around the wings. So you want to go more heavy down here, and as you move up to the lighter area, we're going to have them a little bit lighter and more spread apart. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Go directly on that outline of the image, because that's going to really give you more of that sparkle effect. Same thing up here. You want to make sure you go on the outline. All right, so now she is ready to be die cut and put on the card.